Hello, welcome back to the workshop. Today we're going to be taking a look at these Hudson Go-Go tractors that were built with a combination of a Fordson tractor and some rather chunky cast components to create a quite distinctive and unusual narrow gauge shunting locomotive. These are in 16mm to the foot scale, so the same as many garden railways, but obviously built as more fine scale models. So I thought rather than just a sort of photo overlook on the blog, it might be quite nice to take a look at these and let me talk you through some of the details and how they were created as well. So I'm going to put something a bit neater than the paint on my worktop here. I'm going to put something down, it's just less distracting. Bring the camera around. Let's take a look. Well, I'm not sure this is any less busy than the paint on the bench underneath, but at least it gives us some contrast to look at. So as I say, these are 16mm to the foot scale models, multimedia, scratch built, fine scale models, I suppose you'd say, and they're a combination of different methods and techniques, and obviously have been finished with a highly sort of characteristic weathered appearance. So I'm just going to put my thumb over the battery and let's turn them upside down. And under here you will see that we've basically got a micro gearhead motor which drives to the front axle, and then the two axles are tied together with the Delrin chain. This is controlled via a loco remote which is tucked away at the back of the chassis. We've got a resettable fuse under here as well, and then a simple on-off switch, toggle switch at the front. All that's contained within a laser cut. This is an acrylic laser cut chassis that sits at the very core of the model. And then up top we've got, hidden down the side here in a fake toolbox, is the LiPo. That's removable on a little plug-in here as well. And obviously when you've got the cab roof fitted, that's almost invisible. Then up top, so you can still see a little bit of the acrylic chassis in here. Now, up top we've got some 3D printed side frames, so this entire piece, including the angle line above and the bolt heads, that's all 3D printed in resin. But the buffer beams are scratch built, so up to sort of halfway through there is 3D print, and then the piece in front is various sections of styrene and bolt heads and whatnot added on. And then we've obviously got the 3D printed roof, which is actually been 3D printed in nylon, which is more robust, as are the these L-shaped distinctive roof supports. And the couplings, they're 3D printed as well. Yeah. So all those parts are to my own design, as is the chassis. And then inside the locomotive we have the remains, I suppose you could say, of a die-cast 1/16th scale Fordson tractor, which is slightly overscale for this, but actually when you match it up to the drawings you get something pretty close, and obviously it saves quite a lot of time, and there's a lot of detail and fiddly elements in here that would take a long time to scratch build, but also it adds a lot of weight and heft because the whole front section there, including sort of the down to the running plate, is die cast. So that gives us the distinctive tractor elements, including the fuel tank there. And then in the cab we've got a selection of parts from the tractor model cobbled together to give an impression of the prototype. So whilst this isn't strictly accurate, it sort of does follow the layout of the prototype. We are constrained slightly by having added obviously the fake toolbox and things, but the tractor seat and the gearbox and whatnot are from the die-cast model. And then obviously the bodywork itself, including the bonnet and the radiator cover, and the cab, is all scratch built in styrene, so that's just cut by hand, marked and cut by hand. Bolt heads are from either Meng or Meng or Cambrian, depending on where they are in the model, and then there's also some holes where bolts have been removed, gives a bit of character. And then the whole finish is really brought to life with this quite distinctive weathering, which you see on these prototypes. So we've got some gouges and we've got some rust coming through, so we've got a mixture of damage and sort of that natural effect where you got water running down and then collecting in certain places as it rusts through from the outside. And that's been created using Humbrol enamels and washes. Slightly heavier on the chassis in places, And then it's finished off with an airbrush, just to add a little bit of tonal variation along the bottom, and some exhaust on the roof. And so each model is handmade and distinctive. So these two, whilst they look similar, are not. You know, this one's got a little plate that's been removed here for some reason. If we look at the other side, there's similarities but differences. And obviously this one's in a darker finish and slightly more weathered. We've got some quite distressing looking weathering on that roof. I really, if it was me, would perhaps add some paint to that. So there you have it. So these are handmade. I've got a batch being made, or a batch planned again for this summer, and that will be it. That I'm not going to do any more after that. So you're looking at numbers 3 and 4 here. I've already built 1 and 2, and they're with their customers. There's another batch planned this summer. If you're interested, then get in touch. Prices start from around 1,200, depending on your scope and your price. But obviously this isn't really a sales pitch. This was a chance to show how these models are put together and how I make use of the different techniques, methods and technologies to produce a sort of modern hand-finished scratch-built model. So, hope you found that interesting and perhaps encouraged you or inspired you to have a go yourself. Recognising that working in these larger scales isn't just confined to the garden. We can certainly make use of them in small dioramas within our homes as well. But perhaps even just adding a little bit more detail to the models you do run in the garden. So until next time, thanks for watching, and we'll see you all again soon.